test.
Bonjour. Bonjour. We are on. All right, ladies. So excited to have you today. Let the crowd kind of get settled down here. All righty. So today we're going to talk about partnerships. I think this has been a theme at Cannes through the week, partnerships and collaboration. And this is something in terms of how that drives innovation strategy to impact the consumer. This is in your DNA. It's in 7-Eleven's DNA. A 100-year-old, 100-year young brand.
Good correction.
Excuse me. That collaborating through partnerships is how you drive relevance with your consumers. So what we're gonna, before we dive into that topic, I'd love for you to kind of introduce yourselves to the audience and a little bit of your background would be great.
Marissa, you want to go first?
Sure, I'm happy to. Hi, I'm Marissa Eddings. I lead our brand, advertising, media, and digital marketing teams at 7-Eleven. I've been there for about 5 years, and it's the most fun job I've ever had. So.
Hey guys, Marissa Jarratt. I oversee our marketing, communications, ESG, and government affairs teams at 7-Eleven, and really excited to be here with you today, Davina.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, great. Well, let's get started. So, how does 7-Eleven differentiate themselves? There's lots of retailers out there. And how do you have customer centricity to do that?
So customer centricity or obsession is one of our leadership principles at 7-Eleven. And you can understand that when you realize that we have about 12 million customers pop through our doors on any given day. So there's a large number of people that we serve in our stores every single day from every group imaginable. And it can be daunting, as a marketer to figure out, what does that actually mean? Who are we actually talking to other than people who want a Slurpee or something to drink? And so we utilize all of the, methodologies and tools that probably many of you utilize to understand your consumers and customers. And in particular, I think one of those that really helps us is understanding the kind of psychographic thread that unites all of our customers, and in particular, it helps explain the role of the brand in their lives. And so I think you're going to talk a little bit about that, right? Self-made?
Yeah, I am. So we have done a lot of brand purpose work and a lot of consumer insights, including ethnographies and a whole wide range of methods to really understand kind of that connective mindset of our consumer. And what we have identified is this mindset that we call self-made. And the self-made customer is facing every day with this optimistic determination and hustle, and they are really, focused on working smarter, not harder. They are kind of grinding every day, but at the end of the day, they're building a life. They want to really work to live, not live to work. And so we really, the brand role in their life is as their ingenious accomplice. We help them through their day. We fuel the ambition they have for that day to help them get through. And we do that anyways. I mean, coffee in the morning is probably my favorite way. But even delivery in the middle of the night, if you are sick or you have a sick kid, we can get you medicine at 3 a.m. through our delivery service. So that's the role that we play in that life of helping them to always move forward. They're always on a journey. And then as we think about Gen Z, the characteristics that define self-made also really resonate with the Gen Z audience as well. And they're focused on looking for freedom. They really value self-expression and also feel like they're kind of on this constant journey as well. And so as we think about our audiences, we use these psychographic profiles to think broadly about our entire consumer base, but then it also really helps us to target in even more specifically with Gen Z.
Yeah, I found it fascinating that Gen Z, which is a very elusive audience for most brands, that they make up a third of your transactions, that they're the fastest growing segment. While you guys have a very broad audience, everyone comes to 7-Eleven, this is the most important audience. Can you talk a little bit about how do you prioritize Gen Z? How do you continue to nurture the success that you're having with Gen Z?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we first really start by consistently understanding them and who they are. So we do that in a few ways. We have what we call the Brain Freeze Collective. It's our proprietary research panel. We have over 250,000 consumers who are part of that panel, and we tap into that panel regularly to really understand how things are changing, and how we can continue to resonate over time with that audience. And then we also use social listening, which I'm sure a lot of you do as well. And we have our own tool for that, but we also work with a partner called Penta, where they help us to understand momentum. What has momentum? How can we partner with the right people out there, brands out there who are what we call low volume, high velocity. We're really looking for that high velocity momentum because we know that's what's resonating with Gen Z. And so being able to use that tool has been instrumental in how we connect.
And I'm sure it's really difficult to capture Gen Z's attention, right? And then from there build the loyalty. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit about those two focuses?
Yeah. So capturing attention. I mean, I think there we focus on fandoms. And in those fandoms, we talk about we have gaming, obviously, is a huge fandom with our Gen Z base, as well as sports, and then music and fashion. So we really look for ways to create breakthrough activations within those fandoms. And then we also, sorry, now I'm thinking, what's the question? Sorry.
Oh, social listening.
Oh, social listening,
Maybe like
yes.
a froggy example.
Yeah, so we also co-create, which is really, really cool. And if you go to our social media feed right now, our Instagram feed, you'll see in our story highlights a couple of really great examples of that. Froggy is one. This was a Riot Girl band from Pennsylvania. They were singing about 7-Eleven nachos because 7-Eleven nachos are awesome. And we uncovered that. We found them, and we actually worked with them to create a music video. So we shot a music video with them. We really amplified that for them. And again, that's really going back to that idea of self-made. They're absolutely the definition of self-made. And then we've also co-created with our Gen Z audience through car culture as well. We worked on a car last year that we called Model 711, and we had them actually vote in social media on the different modifications that we were going to make for it. And so that was really a really strong way to engage them, get them into the process, and help them feel like they had ownership over the outcome of that. And then we sadly had to give the car away. So somebody in New Jersey has it. I'm sure he's loving it. I was very jealous, but that's really one of the biggest ways we engage and keep them interested.
We talk about it conceptually in terms of creating demand and then converting demand. And so these are great examples of how we create demand among Gen Z, among really any consumer who expresses an interest in one of these fandom areas. When we talk about converting demand, that's really at the point of purchase. And so when we talk about capturing attention in the store, driving loyalty in the store, we're utilizing a couple different tactics. One is we have a high focus on first, best, and only innovation. So when you think about the convenience channel, historically is a great place to try new innovations. Because why? Because the barrier to try is low, right? You're buying one item, lower price point, you're in an immediate consumption mindset, and innovation has been a huge part of the 7-Eleven business. I mean, we've been really fortunate to be partners to some of the now biggest, brands that actually launched at a 7-Eleven in the U.S. So innovation is a key part of our focus for capturing attention and generating that converting that demand that we've created. I'd say the second thing is around our loyalty program. So our loyalty program is comprised of over 90 million members, and we think about driving loyalty through value. Value, though, we think about in two ways. There's transactional value. Of course, we want to offer discounts, promotional prices. We want to encourage, the best possible deals that we can, and be really competitive in the marketplace. But it's not just about transactional value; it's also about experiential value. And so we build activations that oftentimes have an experiential component that's reserved specifically for our loyalty members. And so that may be something like exclusive access to concert tickets if you're a loyalty member, or it could also be exclusive access, before the general public has access to a fashion collaboration, drop that we're doing. So I think that's the other piece of it, is not only how you create the demand, but then how you convert that into sales to drive the business at the end of the day. And we do both.
Well, and it starts with understanding the customer journey, right? And you could do that really well. That's great. So how we kicked this off was about partnerships, right? And at Ampersand, we are a huge believer that partnerships are core to innovation, and that's what you guys do really, really well. So can you talk about how you use leverage your partnerships to drive mutual growth for your partners?
Yeah, I'll start with the cultural partnerships. So as I mentioned, we have these fandoms, right? So we have gaming, we have music and fashion, and we have sports. And so we look for partners in those spaces who have audiences that we can, will resonate with, and make sure that there's really that kind of affinity, between the two brands. And so that's one way. And we've done that, for example, with gaming just recently with Pac-Man. And so really tapping into kind of our mutual nostalgia, and that's a brand also that's kind of having this resurgence and really starting to resonate with a younger audience as well. And so we were able to do that through gaming earlier this year. Music and fashion, we partner with a lot of different people in those spaces. Joe Fresh Goods was a good example, and I actually think I have some slides here that show some of these. This was an Overtime collaboration, so that one kind of crosses over into sports and fashion, but really, was able to help us reach their audiences while also giving them access to our very large footprint. We have over 13,000 stores, and about 50% of the population live within 2 miles of one of our stores. So really great reach for our partners from that perspective. So it's very mutually beneficial for us. And then I think this is a Crocs example. So this was a really fun one and a huge collaboration for us. And who knew Crocs had come back? I didn't. I think I was behind on that one. But once we realized it, we were all in on this collaboration, and it really, again, just helped us to tap into new audiences. And then Joe Fresh Goods is a fashion designer from Chicago. And so we worked closely with him. And what was so great about him was the authenticity. He was a huge 7-Eleven fan and had been his whole life, and had a really great story to tell about our brand and how he had been a customer since he was a child living in Chicago. And then this is the Pac-Man one I just mentioned, which we were fortunate enough to even have Mark Hoppus from Blink-182 think that it was a pretty awesome collaboration, and he wore one of our shirts to Coachella. He's worn it a couple times now. So I think that really, demonstrates just how impactful these collaborations have been. And then from a sports perspective, we partner with the Dallas Cowboys. They're our hometown team. But look for other partnerships in that space as well, because we know that's a huge fandom with our consumer base.
I think, too, beyond cultural collaborations, I mean, part of just doing business is collaborating and partnering. And so, we are very fortunate to sell so many great brands in our stores. So our vendor partners are collaborators with us. And over the last several years, we've been fortunate to really deepen our partnerships with many of them. Think about the Red Bulls of the world, Monster Energy, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, et cetera. They have, where we have affinity from a consumer focus and from a brand equity perspective, we can really amplify the impact on consumers, on our customers, and on the business. And so we nurture those relationships through our JBP process and through ongoing partnerships. And then probably the last type of collaboration, if you want to think about it that way, is with our external agency partners and media partners. And so, I mean, gosh, we are so blessed to work with such a talented group of agency partners. The Dentsu team is awesome, and we've done a ton of work together with them. But also from a media perspective, we're constantly on the hunt for emerging or new media platforms that we can develop proprietary IP together that can help create a totally new experience that will help drive benefit to those media partners as well as to our business. So we can look at partnerships across a really wide spectrum, not just from a culture, but also through vendor lens, as well as media and agency partners.
Did you want to talk a little bit about Fortnite or Netflix as some of the
well,
partner
Fortnite.
examples?
We'll just say coming soon, a partnership with Fortnite. That's all I can say here.
Pac-Man is very close to my heart. I remember playing Pac-Man at 7-Eleven, probably showing my age here, but
You're not alone, Davina.
I think I'm in line with the Blink 182 guy. So you have a selection process, right? There's a lot of brands, and I'm sure all of them want to work with you guys. How do you select the right partners to implement some of this stuff? What does that process look like?
I mean, beyond having a list of like dream brands that we want to partner with, kind of like who do you have a crush on, which, we definitely have that list. We think about it pretty methodically. It starts with, as we've mentioned a couple times, what's the affinity from a brand equity perspective and a consumer overlap perspective? Are we confident that coming together will actually help build the brands and help provide our customers or the consumers with an awesome experience, because that's how we're going to drive growth ultimately. We also look at what are our business objectives, what are each party going to bring to the table. As Marissa said, we have over 13,000 stores in North America, 83,000 stores globally. So our footprint is a big advantage that we can bring to our partners in terms of driving mass reach and awareness and visibility, and creating physical availability for anything that they might be looking to do. So we evaluate that, and then we go down the list much like probably all of you do when you're evaluating a partnership. How is this going to work? What's the level of effort? What are the requirements? Any kind of IP that we can build? What's the economic model, et cetera?
Yeah, so I think what I would summarize is it's got to be a win-win, right?
Win-win.
Yeah, I think we believe that as well. I think that's
we talk about driving mutual growth. I mean, that's really part of our language at the company, is we want to make sure whatever we're bringing to the table, that our partner also has the ability to benefit in a mutual way.
Great. So you talked a little bit about the customer journey and the ability to capture the attention and then convert. So what is, this is a debate, again, this week at Cannes. What is the right balance between brand and performance marketing for all of you?
I feel like as an industry, can we just agree that we need to stop pitting brand and performance against each other? Can I get a clap or an amen or something? Yes, thank you. I feel like we do ourselves a disservice, because really, anything that we do as marketers should be building our brands, and anything that we're doing from a brand perspective better be driving the business, right? So it's really more of just a kind of a tactical sort of channel deployment approach versus, a good versus bad argument. So I think we're lucky in that we work with brands that have well-established awareness, in many cases, really strong equity. And our opportunity as marketers is to drive either better consideration and purchase of those brands, as well as to continue to create momentum and relevance. And so I think Slurpee is actually a good example of a campaign that we just launched last week that does a nice job of being both brand and performance driven. Do you want to talk about it for a minute?
Yeah, sure. So Slurpee is obviously, it's been around for nearly 60 years, so it's definitely one of our nostalgic, iconic brands. And we've really needed to drive relevance and become more relevant with a younger audience, obviously. So this, is pretty common these days. And so we have refreshed the brand visual identity and the logo for Slurpee to just be more modern, but still retain a lot of the equity of that kind of vintage and nostalgic look and feel. And so we launched a campaign recently to kind of launch the new brand, so to speak, of Slurpee, and did that by really focusing on flavor. That's a big piece of it, and that's how we connect with our consumers on Slurpee is flavor. They love to talk about flavor. They love to mix their flavors, so that's obviously a huge just component of the brand, and so we use that to really kind of highlight the uniqueness and the creativity that you can express through your Slurpee drink with 4 new spots that are really kind of the heart of the campaign.
Yeah, and we're already seeing it in the business results. I mean, so as you can imagine, summertime is a high seasonality time for Slurpee. So no surprise, we launched the campaign right at the start of the summer. We have approached it from a full funnel perspective. So you'll see, I think we're going to show the spots in a sec. You'll see the spots. They're very equity driven. They also have a performance component, right, with a very value driven call to action. And we thread that through every stage of the funnel, all the way through to the point of purchase in our stores, with our loyalty members, et cetera. So good example, I think, of how they should coexist. They should work together. Ultimately, you should be able to grow the brand. You should be able to engage customers, and you should drive the business as a result. Yeah. Should we take a look?
Yeah, let's see if they're here. I think maybe click. There we go.
What'd you guys think? Fun, right? You feel the personality? Are you getting thirsty?
I was going to say we could use some Slurpees right now. All week.
We need them in France, don't we? Yes. We'll get to work on that.
So do you want to break down just a little bit about how you bring that through to the store as well?
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
The Slurpee campaign?
Yeah, how it flows through the store
Exactly,
as well, yeah.
yeah.
So, well, and obviously you guys saw, this is, I mean, while it's very brand heavy, it's also very value driven with dollar small Slurpee as being the tag on all of these. And so within the store also, obviously we have our in-store POP. We have 7-Eleven Day coming soon. And so all of these things really start to come together and bring that experience to the store. And so thinking about like driving the immediate action in the store, we have our loyalty program where you can also get your 7th Slurpee free. So lots of ways to get Slurpee. And was there something specific that you wanted to? Okay.
I think that's good. Yeah. And stay tuned next week. We have a big announcement dropping about Slurpee, and it's tied into the 50th anniversary of hip hop. Yeah. So
Slurpee's
mark
about
your
to get
calendar.
a lot more exciting.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, clearly it was working because the Gen Zs were cornering you over there about the loyalty program and when the day's coming up, which is great. All right, final question, and then we can, if we have time, we can open it up to the audience. But can you, just to close us out today, talk a little bit, all the marketers in the room probably want to understand how you structure, this is a lot to do. I'm sure there's more than just the two of you in the organization, right? So can you talk a little bit about your team structure, and then a little bit about, the hot button of retail media and how you guys are approaching that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been focused today on discussing our brand side advertising and media and collaborations. And to your point, we also have a retail media organization. We launched Gulp Media Network last year, so we're in the marketplace. It's part of our ICE program, which ICE stands for Immediate Consumption Ecosystem. So ICE, Immediate Consumption Ecosystem, and it's essentially a suite of tools that advertisers can leverage to better understand their shopper in our store, which serves as a proxy for all immediate consumptions cross-channel, all immediate consumption occasions cross-channel. So Insights and Analytics tool, as well as the Brain Freeze Collective, which Marissa mentioned earlier. That's our proprietary customer research panel of over 250,000 loyalty members, where you can do qualitative as well as quantitative research, quick turn, highly efficient on pretty much any topic you can imagine. And then our Gulp Media Network, which we're able to utilize, again, all of the 90 million plus members that we have in our loyalty program to target advertising and media very effectively and efficiently across multiple media channels. So ICE is a big part of what we're doing now. It's really grown in the last year or so. From a structure perspective, I would say we operate as an integrated team and organization, and probably not too dissimilar from some of the folks in the audience. We have, more discipline-focused teams, whether it's Insights and Analytics or loyalty or advertising and media. But we also operate with kind of an enterprise mindset. So regardless of whether you work on the retail media team or the social media team or the insights team, you are thinking about the 7-Eleven portfolio of brands. You're thinking about our customer and how we best serve that customer and what are the different tools that we have that we can bring to bear to drive the business forward.
I love it. I mean, that's a huge differentiator, I think, in the retail media space, to take a innovation approach versus monetization of the data only, right? I really love that. Well, great. Well, I think we got to wrap it up. I apologize. We don't have time for more questions, but thank you both for taking the time.
Thank you, Davina. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.